Hello, party people, hyperfocus horde. Today I'm going to talk about a problem that a lot of people run into with their productivity. I know I used to be horrible about this, but essentially starting with too much. Uh, you may not know how much is too much to start with, and that's what we're basically going to cover in this video. So, first, I just want to outline sort of what this looks like. Let's see here. So, this is you, and remember, this has all happened to me, so any type of sarcastic remarks that are being made about this individual, they also apply to me. So I used to think that I was kind of all that. Like, I used to think that I could do all these incredible, amazing things, and I believe I can, right? Uh, I just made a video about how starting a business has given me a mindset that I can do anything. And that's true. But I did have to learn how to become more realistic, right? When you have ADHD, it's very, very easy to have shiny object syndrome and to always be chasing the next shiny thing. And you have a million projects, and you can honestly reasonably only do like one or two of them at a time. But your brain just has this constant need to start new projects and to bounce around and to do all these crazy things. Now, what helps with this is brain dumping. And I'm going to give you a strategy here. So this is a little bit off topic, but we'll get back on topic. It's okay. Where if you have this problem, what works is making a box. Okay, so like find a box in your house and then just like label it ideas. And then cut a slit in the top or just leave it as it is. You don't even have to do all that. And then have note cards. And whenever you have an idea or something that you want to do, like a project that you really like, and you're like, hey, I want to do this, write it down on the card and then put it in the box. And that way it's there if you want it later, but it's out of your head and out of your way. And your brain is like, okay, cool, I got it out of my head. Like, I've got it down. I'm definitely going to do that someday. And then we know you're probably not going to do it someday, but that's fine because you don't want to be starting 1,000,000, gajillion, thousand, 100 billion things. You don't want to do that. That's not focus. Focus is your ability to stay. If you think about what focus is in terms of like a lens or an aperture of some sort or a funnel, then you can see clearly that focus is just one consistent stream, right? And, when we have ADHD, we have to change the definition a little bit because you're going to go off stream, right? All these different little parts of your head want different things, and they're all going to like try and go and get distracted by the things that they want, these little actors inside your head. And so for us, focus is not necessarily about staying on course 100% of the time. It's about learning how to get back on course. If we know that we're going to get off course, we just have to learn how to get back on course. That's the actual skill we need. And so that's what focus is. But this will help you focus is just having one project at a time. Like the time, like, because you have to think about it this way. Due to the compound effect, if you spend 1 minute on something every single day, then at the end of the month, you have basically almost 30 minutes, right? You did like a half hour of work. If you spend 1 hour of it every day, then you have 30. That's almost a day of work that you're working. And, so on and so forth. So the compound effect is like the more you add, it's multiplied over time, right? Because if you're doing it consistently every day, then it's like basically your input is the multiplier for in the dimension of time, all right? So that's what you need to realize is the amount of input is what matters. So the amount of input, if you pour all of your resources and time input into one thing, like let's say I worked on one thing for 4 hours every single day, that would equal, that's 5 days of work. 5 days of nonstop straight working out of the whole month. Just working 4 hours every day means that 5 entire days, 5 24-hour periods of time for the entire month you've been working. That's incredible, isn't it? And so then if you can get this, if you can push this higher up to 6 hours, that's 7.5 days of work. So if you can work for 6 hours every day, that's a full week and then some of work that you did within the month. So that's the power of the compound effect, is you can see how like the 1 minute only got you 30 minutes, but 30 minutes is still kind of impressive. And then from there, we got it all the way up to 7.5 hours from working 6 hours on one thing every day. So let me ask you a question. Like if you worked for 7.5 days on one thing every month, how long do you think it would take before that one thing is finished? Which I'm going to tell you, if it's not getting finished, it didn't happen. Okay? Like all of productivity is determined on, did you finish it? And when you have ADHD, it's extremely hard to not get off task and to stay stuck with one thing for a long time. But there are some strategies and some things you can do that make it a little bit easier. The main one for me, the one that works the best for me and for others that I've talked to, is the athlete mindset, because there's something great about this. It ties it to your identity, and your brain is much more likely to preserve your identity. 2, it's challenging, which can, if as long as it's the right amount of challenge, can put you into a flow state, and flow states are addictive. And then on top of this, if you celebrate your wins and you see things as a goal, 1, it's a game. So if it's a game, then it's fun, and that just makes it more and more obsessive as time goes on. And that's another thing, is it creates obsession. So like the athlete mindset is just like perfect. Like literally, if you want to be better at productivity, take on the identity of a productivity athlete, turn it into a game, make it fun, and sniff out your goals, which are the things that you can actually finish, and then just become addicted to hitting those goals. Which, in order to become addicted, you have to celebrate your wins, okay? Like you have to actually celebrate your wins. I'll take this as far as literally, if I finish something that's really awesome, I will literally yell out loud, like at the top of my lungs, like, yes, I did it, right? You don't have to go that far. Even just acknowledging that you did something awesome is cool, right? So, but that really works for me. That got me addicted to working. Now I'm a workaholic. And that's the real way that you get things done, is if you're obsessed with work, what do you think's going to happen? You're going to get a lot of work done. That's how it works. Okay? Not necessarily, because you could be busy, and busy is not getting a lot done. Busy is when you are focusing on a million different projects at once, and you have all these different admin tasks, and you're switching tasks constantly. That's not helpful. What is helpful is this compound effect, this focus, focal point. Focus stands for follow one course until completion. I want you to write that down. Focus stands for follow one course until completion. All right. You want to have as little projects as possible. It's okay to have 2. It's okay to have 2. It's okay to have 3 potentially needle movers every day, right? But you want to make this as lean as possible, because that's how you actually get the best results over time. Okay? So, stay focused. Now, if you struggle with the ideas thing, the ideas box can help with that, because it's just like, it's out of sight, it's out of mind. You tell your brain that you're going to do it, and that satisfies it. It satisfies the little agents in your head, these little guys who all want different things, and you're like, obviously you can't do all of them, but you have to just like pat them on the head and be like, oh yeah, sure buddy, I'll do that. And then they'll be happy. Okay? So, that's my tip. Now, where this video intended to start, and what it actually is supposed to be about, is how we tend to try and do more, and it has partially to do with all these ideas, and like, it's because we're so quote unquote, if you have ADHD, you've probably been told this before, you've probably been told you're very bright, or another one is gifted, and you probably have awesome ideas. You probably have really, really good ideas. Or if you sit down and strategize and think about a problem, you can do things. Or you've realized that, like, when it's absolutely time to lock in, when it's crunch time, you can absolutely destroy and outwork everybody. But it doesn't feel good when you're in that state. It just feels like scary, right? So, because we kind of have this understanding that we can do a lot more, we tend to bite off way more than we can chew, is basically what I'm getting at here. You don't get to start $1 million business from scratch. That's not how it works. You have to start at the bottom, okay? Like your business, there's something to be said about building things as if they're going to be big in the future, but at the same time, if you're starting from nothing, or if you're just starting getting into a certain skill, you're not going to be a master overnight. You're not going to even see results overnight. You have to pick a section to move to where you're not going to be overwhelmed, and you have to be realistic and understand that your brain is not on your side. Especially if you have ADHD, your brain cannot be trusted. It's not on your side. What you can bet on is that you will get off task. What you can bet on is that you will get distracted and you will go do something else, and your brain, it doesn't care about your productivity. In fact, your brain is actively trying to preserve the version of you that is doing the least amount possible because it's just trying to save and conserve energy, okay? So that's all it's doing. So you need to work with your brain, and you need to understand momentum, because remember how important momentum is for productivity? That's pretty much everything. You need to have a flow mindset, okay, where you flow from one level to the next, and then from one level to the next, and one level to the next, and one level to the next. And you can think of it as like a pulse. And your workflow is like a pulse. It's you have these times when you're high energy, high octane. That's when you want to turn on the super phase locking music and do a deep dive and just stay locked in and hyper focus. And then you're going to have times when you really don't want to do anything. And that's when you need to just do one small thing. Focus on cleaning something. Put on some chill music in the background and have a chill workflow where you do some more side questy things. In general, if you try to understand what your brain actually wants and then try to give it those things that it wants, this is a kind of self-love. It will make you more productive. So the more you love yourself, the more productive you will be. And the more you understand that your brain is kind of like a child that just wants to like not do anything or wants to go do specific things that have nothing to do with productivity. And this is something that people don't realize, is that if you are an adult, what are you? What does being an adult mean? It means that you are a developed child. Okay? You're a developed child. Guess what? Still a child. Like, in some sense, like, a developed child is still a child. Like, we seem to think that things magically change from when you become a child to when you become an adult, but they really don't. Like, you still have all of, like, a child is basically just the default state of somebody's brain, right? If you took away all of society and all of the programming and all of that, you would basically be left with a child. The difference between a child and a adult is that an adult has more skill. That's why they're developed, is because they've basically learned the skill of living life. And so if you want to become more mature, you just have to become more skilled at living life. Things like regulating your emotions, getting along with others, being productive, all these things. Like, this is what matters, okay? And that's what this channel is about. Your brain does not really change. Like, at its core, this is like we talk about like the inner child, right? And how that's a very important idea in psychology. Well, you have to basically take care of that inner child, and you have to understand that that's you, and you still have all the same needs that you had when you were a child. You still need to feel loved. You still need to play, which in the adult version of this is obsession about a craft, right? And this is usually like your hyperfixation, the thing that you are easily able to hyperfocus on. And nutrition is huge. Nutrition is massive. You need to make sure that you're eating properly. If your brain does not have the proper resources to actually get things done, then you're not going to get things done because your brain needs those resources in order to actually move forward. It needs those building blocks to strengthen certain connections in your mind that are healthy to make. Like a healthy brain is a fed brain. And your brain uses most of the energy in your body. Like you're burning through a ton of energy just existing because of your brain. You need to eat a lot because of your brain. Like that's your brain is what's doing all the working. It's what's using all the energy. Make sure that you feed your brain. Which when you have ADHD, you also have your brain needs protein, but when you have ADHD, you also have a deficiency in protein. So you need to make sure that you're getting a good source of protein every day. Another tip for this on the nutrition part is try and keep food very simple. Keeping it varied is good. However, if you're in a situation where it's kind of difficult to keep it varied, I've found that it's kind of difficult for me to keep my diet varied. Then you can like there is a point of it's good enough, and what works for me, what's just good enough, quote unquote, for me. Like if you're trying to do the bare minimum, uh, which I'm going to give you another tip before I tell you that, is essentially like it's normal to forget to eat when you have ADHD, especially when you're in hyperfocus. So try and find some sort of snack that you can use as a meal replacement. For me, it's plantain chips because they have a lot of good nutrients and minerals and vitamins and stuff in them, and they have carbs and they are very high in calories. So if I forget to eat something, I have plantain chips that I can always use as a meal replacement, or get meal replacement shakes. That's another thing that works really well. But back on track here, if you're looking for a just good enough, honestly, what works really well is just some sort of carbs. So typically like rice and chicken and greens, and that's it. And if you have an instant pot, you can cook all of that in one go. So that's my recommendation for you, is get an instant pot. And you don't want to eat this every single day, but you could theoretically eat this most days and just eat it like once or twice a day and you would be okay. All right. But obviously, I'm not a nutritionalist. I'm just telling you what I've been able to get away with. This is not probably the best advice. You probably shouldn't follow this advice, but if you're in a weird situation, like you don't have very much money, or you find that it's very, very hard for you to manage food, just getting a start is better than nothing. So you can use this as a blueprint to start, of just buying a big bag of chicken, cooking some rice and some greens, and you can cook it all in the Instant Pot all in one go. Okay? That makes it very, very easy, and it's very affordable. I want to give you one more insight here. So this whole like picking a point that you're actually at, like you need to play at the level that you're at. If you're not playing at the level that you're at, it's going to be too difficult. And if you're playing at a level that's too easy, you're not actually going to be getting anything productive done. But if you play at the level that's just right for you, we found that this is actually a trigger for flow states. Okay? So what that tells me is that your biology is inherently designed in such a way where if you just do the thing that is the right difficulty for you, which is actually going to help you develop, and it's not too much for you and it's not too little for you, then that is the point that you're supposed to be, neurologically speaking, addicted to. Okay? And that's what you want to do, is you want to create an addiction to finding your quote unquote next goal, which is basically a flow state. Okay? So look into flow, look into how to like different flow state triggers, and start using them on yourself. Okay? But that's the one of the huge ones, is just doing something that's slightly outside of your difficulty range. Doing something that is just a little bit more resistance than you are used to overcoming, or not used to overcoming, but it is like comfortable to overcome. It's those, I like to call them micro disciplines. A mantra that you can have to sort of understand this better is thinking of just one more. If you tell yourself just one more for whatever you're doing, then that works. Some of the best flow states I've ever had is because I was working on something for hours and I got to the point where I finished it and I technically like won, quote unquote, and I did my job for the day. Um, and here's another tip that I use is have a celebratory video that you watch, like a ritual that basically is like a trigger for your brain that lets it know, like, hey, you did a good job. Some of the best flow states I've ever had is when I watched that video and I was like, yes, I actually did it. I did the good thing, and now I can go and chill and take a break. But then just seeing that video and it like kind of hyped me up a little bit. Um, it just got me to that state of just like, but what if I just did one more? And then I went and just did that one more task, and it turned into like an hour or like even just 30 minutes of basically like this pure, just like blissful flow state, right? And just get a ton done in that time. And it literally feels like, this is how you can know if you're in a pure, quote unquote, like a pure flow state, is if it literally feels like everything is beautiful, everything just works, and it feels like there's like wind gently flowing through your being, like behind your back. That's what it feels like. It feels like you've become one with this gentle breeze that just flows. That's literally how it feels. It's the best way I can describe it. Now, hyperfocus may not feel like that. Hyperfocus is typically understood as a more intense kind of flow state that people with ADHD can have. In my experience, hyperfocus has basically what I've come to understand it is kind of like a flow state, but certain parts of your brain are shut off, which is okay. Whereas a flow state is more parasympathetic, it's more aware, and it's more, instead of collapsing into this like extremely dense stream of focus, it's more like you find like the perfect balance and pulse and wavelength of like a flow of focus. That's the only way I can really describe it. So instead of like a laser beam that's like hot, it's like a cool and soothing just channel where everything is just effortless. Okay? So that's how you can think about hyperfocus and flow. They're both very useful to you. Obviously, you want a flow state, but if you can just hit hyperfocus every day, that's perfect too. Just know that if you keep doing this day to day to day to day to day, you will get burnt out. Your focus will collapse to such a point, to a degree, where you basically start to kind of like lose your mind. And the way you can avoid this or know that it's time to chill out is if you get to the point where you basically have like an itch to get back to work, because this hyperfocus is addicting. And so it literally is addictive. If you feel like you cannot pull yourself away from work, then it is time to take a day off. It is time to chill out. It is time to probably take a day off, and then the next day do something a little bit more like low energy, and then maybe the next day do the same thing, like only low energy tasks, and then the day after that you should be fine, and you can do a little bit more intense, maybe like medium energy, and then you can get back into your hyper focus. But this medium energy, I believe that this is probably the best part to bridge into an actual flow state. So there you go. That's what I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like productivity mentorship, if you'd like help learning all these things, because productivity is a skill and skills take a long time to learn, but you can shorten that time drastically if you have somebody helping you and troubleshooting with you. So it's $50 if you want my help. Just let me know in the comments and I'll help you out. Otherwise, like, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff if you thought it was valuable, helpful, and if you want the algorithm to push this to more people. That's all I got, guys. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Peace out.